Hi everyone, welcome to sock season week 19, March 3rd through 9th, 2024. I'm Carol, host of A Stitch in Time, and I can be found on Ravelry as Knits and Pearls. If you are joining me partway through this series, you may not be aware of my motivations behind putting out these videos each week. Ever since I began my podcast back in 2017, I've had numerous people ask me to show you my sock drawer. The thing is that I am rather a prolific sock knitter, and I've been knitting socks since 2006 or 2007. And so my hand knit socks don't fit in a single drawer. They don't even fit in two drawers. The vast majority of my hand knit socks live under my bed in zippered bags, the kind you get when you buy bedding. And I have two drawers of plain vanilla socks, which is what I tend to reach for, partly because they're easy to wear and another is because they're easy to get at. And so I decided that this sock season I was going to show my older, fancier hand knit socks some love, and I thought at the same time that I could give you a glimpse into my sock drawer that isn't really a sock drawer. So one of these bags under my bed contains 44 pairs of socks by Hunter Hammersen, or designed by Hunter Hammersen, knit by me. And I am going to share those with you over the next several weeks. My original intention was to finish up sock season at the end of March, but I have so many to show you that I'm going to extend it into April. Now, something I hadn't thought about last fall when I began this series is that some of you might actually want to knit some of the same socks that I show you each week. And I'm not sure why, didn't occur to me. I mean, I have knit countless projects after seeing them on podcasts. It's just something that didn't cross my mind. But unfortunately, it has come to my attention that some of the socks I've shown you over the last few months are no longer available as patterns, and I apologize for that. And it was that knowledge that made me hesitate about whether or not I should showcase my Hunter Hammersen socks. In 2022, she made a decision to retire quite a number of her patterns. And since then, they've either been sporadically available, if available at all. On the other hand, most of my Hunter Hammersen socks have been knit from patterns that came from books that she had published. And a search of the internet shows that the books are still available on sites like Amazon and used bookstores, even though they're no longer published. And so with that in mind, I decided to go ahead and show them to you. They do make up a big part of my hand knit sock collection, and so I thought I would share them with you with the full disclosure that the patterns may not be easy to find if available at all, and if you do manage to get your hands on them, they might come at quite a high price. Wouldn't you know it, my furnace has just kicked on, and so you may hear that in the background, and hopefully it's not too distracting. So I think Hunter Hammersen first came on my radar sometime around 2010. I'm guessing via the Sock Knitters Anonymous group on Ravelry. I know that my first attempt at one of her sock patterns occurred at that time, and I say attempts because I never did finish her Dippers socks. I do know that by 2011, I was a member of her Ravelry group, and I was taking part in a knit along for her recently published book, Silk Road Socks, which features 14 different sock designs inspired by Oriental rugs. And after that, she just seemed to go crazy designing numerous individual patterns and collections, including the Knitter's Curiosity Cabinet series, which features both sock designs and accessories. So this is volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. And I will be showing you socks from all 4 of these books over the coming weeks. But today I am going to focus on some of her individual patterns and some that have come from other collections. Before I show you my first pair of socks, I thought you might get a kick out of some fun statistics that I discovered while looking through my Hunter Hammersen projects on Ravelry. So I have 51 projects in all. Not all of them are socks. And in those projects, I've used 17,813 meters of yarn. And I have 43 photos featured on pattern pages. So first pair is called Chamfer. Now something you should know about Hunter Hammersen designs is they often have very unique and interesting names. And I often have to look up the words in the dictionary. So these were knit back in March and April of 2012 from some Pagewood Farms Denali hand-dyed sock in the River Rock colorway. There is a lot of attention to detail in Hunter's socks. The cuffs often feed into the design that's on the leg. In fact, a lot of her socks don't have much of a cuff because she doesn't personally like knitting ribbing, and so she will often jump right into the stitch patterns. Also, the heel flap will often have the pattern featured on it, or have something interesting going on there too. And often too, she will extend the design into the toe area. So all sorts of really real attention to detail. So let me bring this in so you can see it more closely. So you can see some twisted ribbing running down the sides, a little bit of twisted rib to start, and then this lace pattern here. And then this is actually a twisted garter rib heel flap. And then you can see that the toe features some twisted rib on top. And this yarn is variegated, but I do think it allows the lace pattern to show pretty well. And I just love these colors. I think it's really a pretty shade of kind of dusky purple with these gold colors in it. And hopefully you're getting a good look at that. And now I will give you a model shot here. Next up is Maroon, which I knit as a test knit back in November of 2013. Or it would be more accurate to say I knit the first sock back in November 2013, but I didn't finish the pair until the following June. So I knit these socks from some yarn from the Unique Sheep. It is their Luxe base in the cardamom colorway. And I think I received this yarn as part of a yarn and tea club. So let me bring one of these in a little closer so you can get a good look at this sock. So as you will see, there is no separate cuff. It just goes right into this twisted rib and slipped stitch pattern, which runs all the way down the leg and foot right down to the very tip of the toe. And once again, you have a non-traditional heel flap. A couple of things to know about Hunter Hammersen patterns. One is that she does not give you a suggested needle size, but she does provide gauge, and then it's up to you to find the right needle. So sometimes it does take a little bit of trial and error. One thing that's great though is she does provide, for the most part, a wide range of sizes. A pattern I was just looking at had 4 different cast-on numbers. For the most part, also, she does do her socks from the top down, and she relies quite heavily on charts. So if that's something you're not comfortable with, you may find her patterns a little bit intimidating. But she does provide very good keys to the charts, including all of the instructions you need to knit the various stitches. So it's definitely a very unique way of writing patterns, but at the same time, once you get used to her style, they are not necessarily that difficult, especially when you have a fairly simple stitch pattern like this. Around 2015, Hunter started updating some of her older patterns so that the pattern style would be consistent with her other publications. And part of that process involved having new samples knit up and photos taken. And I was honored to do some sample knitting for her at this time. And so the next 2 pairs of socks I'm going to show you were sample knits. The first was Gramercy. So she sent me a skein of Vice Carnal in the Bluestone colorway. I knit the socks in my size, sent them to her. She had photos taken, and then she sent them back to me to keep. And so these are the very socks that you will see on the pattern page. So why don't I bring them in so you can see them more closely. So once again, we see this attention to detail. It's not just a 1x1 or a 2x2 cuff, but a ribbed pattern that flows into this lace. And then the same occurs at the toe. The lace extends into the toe area and then finishes off with this ribbing. And then as you can see, the ribbing is also repeated here on the heel flap. So give you a good look, I should say, at that stitch pattern. And one more look at the pair here. This second pair of sample socks I knit in the summer of 2015, and it is called Scatterling. It is knit from a sport weight yarn, Chamfer Nicole, in the chamomile colorway. And as you can see, the design is a little bit more intricate than the last few pairs I've showed you. So it has this kind of braided cable that runs all the way down the front of the sock, but then the back's not too difficult with its 2x2 rib. Once again, the pattern begins right at the top, no discernible cuff, and runs the entire length of the sock. You can see the ribbing here in the toe, and then again on the heel flap. And then I think this is a really fun detail here, this ribbed gusset area. So the yarn is nice and soft and squishy, and these socks are nice and cozy. This pair is called Rampant, and I knit these socks in the fall of 2015 from some Dreamin' Color Smooshy with Cashmere. I think the colorway may have been exclusive to the Loopy U. It was called the Watering Hole. And once again, Hunter has combined ribbing and slip stitches, and then she's thrown a little bit of cabling in for good measure. So let me bring a sock closer so you can see that stitch pattern better. Once again, the ribbing feeds nicely into the design that runs all the way down the sock. I do not know if I was meant to do this pattern on the toe, but as you can see, I did plain stockinette, but I did do the ribbed heel flap as instructed. I love this yarn. I like the way the patterning plays with the colors, and I like the look of this braid that runs all the way down the socks. Because of the cashmere content in this yarn, it is very soft to wear and very luxurious. My sixth pair for this week comes from this book, Fine Things for Plain Occasions, Patterns Inspired by Vintage Etiquette Guides. And I was really pleasantly surprised when Hunter sent me an advanced copy. And I had every intention of participating in the make-along for this book, but for some reason I only ended up knitting one pair of socks, which I will show you now. So these socks are called by Naughty Design, naughty as in naughty naughty, and they are knit from Handmaiden Casbah in the Salt Spray colorway. So again, another MCN base, so they're nice and soft and luxurious to wear. So here you can see there is a discernible cuff, but again, it runs into this swirling lace and ribbed pattern, which runs once again all the way down to the toe with some ribbing to finish things off, and then a ribbed heel flap. And so I'll give you a look at what they look like when I wear them. Finally, we have Zantho, which I knit in March 2017 from some Koigu KPPPM. Unfortunately, I forgot to write down the colorway number, but you can find that information on my Ravelry project page, which I will link below along with links to all the other projects that I talked about today. So once again, we see a rib and slip stitch pattern that runs down the entire length of the sock. So let me bring this in so you can get a better look. So again, the cuff feeds into the leg pattern, and you have some zigging and zagging going on with these slip stitches, and also some twisted stitches running in columns. Again, not sure if the pattern was supposed to go onto the toe, but I did a stockinette toe, but I did do a ribbed cuff as indicated in the pattern. And again, I think this yarn shows off the stitch pattern in a really fun way. So one last look at them before I show you a model shot. And that brings week 19 of sock season to a close. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to see some more knitting and other crafts, be sure to check out regular episodes of A Stitch in Time, which I am currently putting out on a more or less bi-weekly basis. Please join me next week for sock season, wherein I will be featuring the first 7 designs from Silk Road Socks. Have a great week, and I'll see you then.